You've seen the big plays.
Jaron stepping to his right, looking, stopping, firing, end zone, touchdown!
You've heard what the playmakers and coaches have had to say.
Up press Graves, got it!
But now it's time to go behind the mic with BYU sports broadcasters to get their distinctive take on the games.
Oh, what an aggressive play!
This is Behind the Mic with host Cleon Wall.
We're here to bring you unique insights and stories from the BYU sports broadcasters who cover the Cougars and from the Cougars themselves. Tyler Haws is back with his series, The Mental Game. This time, Tyler interviews BYU Associate Athletic Director Chad Lewis, who now works in the Cougars athletic department. Lewis's story is one of resilience. He walked onto BYU's football team before receiving a scholarship, and he was not drafted in the NFL, but eventually played in the league. Tyler asked Chad when he discovered that mental toughness could help him during his life.
Right at the beginning. I would say two things helped me more than anything else. Good family and friend. I was surrounded by great people that were very supportive, specifically my parents and my brothers. So going into it, it was really good. That was key. And the second thing was you just have to be tougher than anything. So walking on was the best thing that happened for my pro career, because I learned no one is going to give you anything. You have to fight for it and you have to earn it. And you don't even want to be there if someone's going to give it to you, because you don't deserve to be in the huddle or the locker room. Like, you want to earn it. And having that experience here at BYU of walking on, earning it, developing good relationships, and then having to do it all over again in the NFL, I knew what I was getting myself into.
You'd been there, yeah.
I knew the long road. It was like, it's going to be tough, but let's go. And then I had good teammates and great coaches, and it wasn't easy. But those combination of those two things, I was still surrounded by really good people. Now my wife's in the mix. She was number one for me. And then just knowing that I could do it was really cool. Like, I've done it before. It stinks. And then same thing each time, like when I was cut and had to start over, it was the exact same process. So having gone through that, I wasn't afraid of it. It was hard, but I knew, like, if I stick this out, it's going to be okay. Just keep on going.
Yeah. I that's so powerful. I feel like so many times when we're faced with adversity and uncertainty, and I mean, those things can pile on top of you pretty fast.
Yeah,
but
big time.
You relied on past experience and the tough things that you had been through to get through currently, right?
And I had good resources along the way other than coaches or friends or church leaders. I remember I got to the Rams after I'd been 1 year, 2 games at the Eagles, broke my ankle, was cut, picked up 10 weeks later. And when I was checking myself into the Rams facility, I asked the coaches and some of the people I was checking in, do you guys happen to have a sports psychologist? And they're like, yeah, this guy right here. And I said, can I talk to him? They're like, yeah, you can talk to him. I said, can I talk to him right now?
That's great.
And they're like, sure. So I went up to him, met him, and I said, hey, I'd love to talk to you. And he's like, yeah, that's great. Let's set up a time. You know, sometime I'll be around. I said, what about right now?
Let's do it right now.
Right then. And we jumped into we found an office, and I just started talking. I had some good experiences and bad experiences from my first year and 2 games. And I was unloading on him in a way that was so healthy. That was his profession, sports psychology, sports performance. And it was my greatest need. And I found really quick that he helped me develop muscles that I needed to develop. And then he and other sports performance guys were key through my career for the next 8 years. They were so valuable to helping me stay in the league, stay top of my game. I think about that and just crack up. Can I talk to you right now?
That is awesome. So you went and sought these guys out. You leaned into that stuff. And I feel like whenever you lean into those, you have to be vulnerable, though. You've got to let your walls down. And do you feel like that was an important part of
it was huge.
Everything?
After just a couple minutes, he's like, oh, wow, you have a couple issues with these people. And I'm like, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
You know, I had some coaches that didn't like me. This is in the pros. That's really challenging, you know, to go to work knowing this guy doesn't like me at all. He kind of wants to get me out of here. And you're fighting, not just to perform on the field or the court, you're fighting to prove that guy that you're good enough to be there.
Yeah.
Now, especially in the pros, that fight is like, everyone understands that. But sometimes it's a little more intense than others. So as I watched Zach Wilson this year with the Jets, knowing that his offensive coordinator, wasn't a big fan, I knew.
You've been there.
Heck yeah, I've been there. I've been in the deep, dark part of there.
Yeah.
And it's intense. And so people that are just watching SportsCenter, catching a couple clips, there's so much more going on. So I look for him to have a, great offseason, big rebound, and let his skills do the talking.
For sure. No, it's something I experienced too. I mean, there were coaches that were your fan and believed in you, and then there were coaches that did not believe in you, and they were trying to replace
It's like,
you.
why don't you believe in me? Like, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like your high school coaches or people that you grew up with.
Yeah.
How did you stay locked into the moment and the process like you talked about?
I talked about that process a lot with, both Phil when I was with the Rams and then when I went back to the Eagles, people that I talked to. And it was, okay, let's go in the huddle right now. And here we are just talking during the week. And he would say, okay, let's go in the huddle, give me a call, and let's just walk through what you're going to do once you hear the call and as you're walking to the line of scrimmage. And so we would practice that. In the facility, in a room, I'd practice the call. So red right, 322, Y stick, nod, Z stop. And he'd say, okay, we're walking to the line of scrimmage. What are you thinking? And I'd say, well, I'm looking at the defense as I'm walking to the line of scrimmage. Who's guarding me? Is it zone or man? And we'd talk about the point of the game. Is it third down? Is this like a game winner? And we just try and back up. Yeah, visualizing, walk up, get my stance. I'm hearing Donovan give his calls. And in my mind, I'm going through it. And you say, okay, who's over the top of you? I got a defensive end in this technique. So I'm going to do a little move, and I'm going to get on my stem, and then I got a backer and a safety. So what am I going to do to those two guys with my eyes, with my head, with my body, get them leaning, and then I just walk through where I'm going with my body weight, where I'm dropping, and how I'm going to get in and out of that break as fast as I can. And I'd visualize snapping my head around once I made the cut to find that ball. And then we would talk about, okay, that ball is coming at you right now. What are you looking at? And I'm looking at the X of the leather panels on the ball. So I'm focusing on that ball. And this is during the week. So as I'm getting ready for the game, this is what I'm thinking of. That was my process. So when things got crazy in a game, or it was a lot of pressure or intense, or we were behind, it was easy and comfortable for me to go back to that process. Like,
because you'd been there.
I'm looking at the X, man. And I could say things to myself that would just be like, calm down, you got this.
I got this.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I had that kind of help. People who were anxiously engaged in helping me and my career dominate. They weren't trying to make me do poorly and get cut. It was the opposite. They were champions they were in my corner. It was like, hey, we want you to rock this thing. So that felt good.
Yeah, I love that. One thing, you just made me think of an experience that I had while I was playing here. I can't remember exactly which game it was, but or maybe I'm getting off topic here, but maybe it was in the SAB. But you turned to me and you said, "Ty, you're a warrior."
You are a warrior.
You are a warrior.
You've been that way your whole life.
You've said it multiple times to me, but I feel like that's part of your mindset is I'm a warrior. I'm here to dominate. I'm here to go do the very best that I can.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was something that was developed, or is that something that was just instilled in you from a young age?
A lot of it was my brothers growing up. So 5 Lewis boys, we all played sports. We weren't the greatest, but we were tough. And I remember my brother playing a John Cougar Mellencamp song for me in high school. And the song was, you got to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. And he just said, look, there's going to be times in your life where people on your own team are taking shots at you. What are you willing to stand for? And sometimes it's stand and fight. Sometimes it's just stand and speak. But having my brothers reinforce that, like, hey, you got to be willing to fight. And then when I came home from my mission and walked on to BYU, it was, there's no one cares about you like you do. So you better care enough to want it bad enough to just go for it. And that's what I was willing to stand for, and fight for. Hey, I love all you guys, you're my teammates, but I have to go fight for this position or this time on the field. And that can be a little uncomfortable when you love the guys you're with, or maybe you don't like the guys you're with and you have to go fight. And it seems like you're taking their job. It's not their job. It's the job is for the best person. So you can't get that confused. You're not taking someone's job. You're fighting for that job. You want to earn that job and you want to keep that job. Because in college, you got to earn your keep. Hopefully it's a scholarship. In the pros, you got to feed your family.
Yeah, it's life.
Like false modesty is not going to help you one bit. Oh, I'm not going to try really hard because I don't want to make that guy feel bad. Okay, well then get out of the locker room because you're not going to help this team win. Coaches want you in there if you're willing to fight and give it everything you got. I know it's complicated, it's layered, but that's what it boils down to.
I love that. That's a unique perspective. I think especially nowadays, I feel like a lot of the upcoming generation, there's a sense of entitlement and like that they deserve something. But for you, it was, I'm going to go earn this. I believe in myself, and there's no false modesty there.
Can't pretend, can't fake it. You can fake it till you make it in a sense, but you got to be willing to earn it. You want to prove to your teammates that you're working hard enough and you're good enough. You don't want to be out there in the competition doubting yourself because you've cheated the system or the process. Like, shoot, I'm a phony. You want to be out there saying, I can feel the moment, it's intense, but I can do this. Like, if they throw it to me, I'm catching that thing.
I'm curious, so you've been around, some incredible coaches throughout your life. Lavelle Edwards is one that comes to mind. Incredible teammates. But are there any experiences or stories that come to mind in regards to, lessons you've learned or mental toughness?
Lavelle was so unbelievably good. And Andy Reid is like him in so many ways. No wonder he's, flourishing. But Lavelle had this gift of, if I was having a problem with a coach or a game or an injury, he could talk to you and he could build you up in a genuine way. He would give you confidence by what he was saying, and there was nothing phony about it. He's a genuine, authentic guy. And so he would say, don't worry about him. Like, you're a great player. And the way he would say it was like your own dad or your own, like, the greatest mentor you can imagine. You don't want to let him down, and here he is building you up, and you're like, man, if he believes in me, let's go.
I can do it.
He was very gifted.
Oh, that's beautiful. I feel the same way on my journey. There are people that, when they looked you in the eye and said something, it meant the whole world. It changed your perspective.
Which puts a huge responsibility on coaches because the pressure that they can apply to us as players is way bigger than they'll ever appreciate. Even if they played at one time, they've forgotten it. They're coaching now, and they can talk to us in ways that can crush us or that can lift us and build us and inspire us. And I want the coaches to know that. Like, your language with us players is massive. It could cause us to go into counseling for 40 years. And it could also lift us to play and use our skills and our talents to the greatest ability. That's what coach means. Like, you have this platform where you're directly speaking to my heart, my soul, my everything. Be careful with that. You can be tough, but if you abuse that, shoot, that's That's trouble, man. That's when people they can't get out of their
spiral
brain.
downward. Yeah. So I'm curious now that in your role at BYU now as an associate athletic director, I mean, you're around numerous student athletes, and how have you been able to translate these skills that you've learned into what you're doing now, and
Great question.
and giving back to some of these people?
Yep. Tom Homo, the athletic director, hired me to be the director of the fundraising team. And he said, look, if you're going to come here and just worry about shekels, just worry about money, you're going to fail. I want you to be with the student athletes as well. I want you to get to know them. I want you to be in their lives. I want you to impart and share what you've learned. That's what this thing's all about. And the fact that Tom encourages us in the athletic department to do that and to be a part of the lives of the student athletes here, that inspires me, because I'm watching you and others dominate on the practice field in the summer and then finally on the court when it matters. And it was like, I saw you before your mission. Well, I saw you in high school, so I knew what you were all about. That's why I said you were a warrior. And then you had that super cool, YouTube, whatever, with your dad where you're in the gym. And I saw your dad sacrifice his love for you, the time. And it was such an inspiring video. I will never forget it. And when you came back, I was just like, it's on, man.
Let's go.
We are never going to lose a game if you're on the court. That's how I felt.
When we come back, Chad and Tyler talk about how faith in God and mental toughness are related. Welcome back to Behind the Mic. Let's get back to the mental game with Tyler Haws and BYU Associate Athletic Director Chad Lewis.
So you served a mission in Taiwan.
Yeah.
You speak Mandarin, still speak it fluently.
I still read the Book of Mormon out loud every morning just to practice. The language is so hard. It's just my way of just keeping it. It's hard to keep it, though.
So cool. Yeah. So how are faith and your mental toughness related? Because I feel like they are in some way.
I think they're completely related, just like intertwined as tight as you can get. Your faith, your confidence. And when I talk about confidence, I always mean real confidence, not fake bravado, talking smack when you can't back it up. I'm talking real, deep confidence. And I think that's born of faith. And I think faith and confidence grow together. So I think as much as we can, if we're right with God, that helps us to be able to keep our eyes open and clear and have real confidence. When we are being deceptive to ourselves, our family, people close to us, or God, your confidence is out the window. And then all you're left with is fake confidence, which we see so much of in the world, just loud talking, smack talking, trying to pump yourself up. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about almost divine confidence. And when you have that, it doesn't matter who the opposition is. You go into it saying, I'm going to give this person all I got. They got to handle my very greatest effort. If they can handle it and they beat me, fine. I'll salute them, shake their hand afterward and say, you got me. But it's not good enough for us to go into a competition and curl up in a ball and cry. Can't do that. That doesn't cut it. We got to compete. We got to put our skills, our gifts, our talents on the table.
And I think that's what God wants.
Yeah, totally.
God wants us to compete and find success, right?
Whether you're a missionary, He doesn't want you going out there like a worm. He wants you standing tall and humble, a heart full of charity, giving it all you got. To me, that's like with all your heart, might, mind, and strength. That's what that means. And when we come home from serving as missionaries, He doesn't want us to throw that away. He wants us in basketball or football to compete the same way, with all your heart, might, mind, and strength. And He does not want us to give up the valuable things we learn as missionaries that make us different. Different in what way? Different in what inspires us. Christ is what inspires us. The sons of Mosiah, they inspire me. when I read the stories of the Book of Mormon or the Bible, like that inspires me. Those guys were warriors. And they didn't make excuses. They went straight after life in the coolest way. And so, as a BYU football player, I felt that. In the pros, I felt that. And what was cool about Andy Reid, he just backed me up with all of it. He was such a great supporter and a champion, and he inspired me, and he even protected me, allowed me to thrive in who I am as a member of the church in the NFL. He's sweet. I love him. I'll love him forever. And a bunch of other coaches as well.
That's awesome. You talk about surrounding yourself with greatness. This is a book you wrote and super passionate about. Talk about some of the teammates in the NFL, guys like Donovan McNabb, that you were surrounded with that helped you achieve some great things.
I had lunch with Donovan last week in Arizona, and one of the things I told him was how much I appreciated his confidence in me. So one game, we're playing the Arizona Cardinals. He threw me a pass. The pass was tipped, and then it hit me real quick, and I missed the ball, and I hate missing catches. I want to catch everything. And I went back to the huddle, and I was so angry. I was like, dang, I wanted to catch that thing. And he's like, hey, be quiet. I'm coming right back to you. Next play, threw it to me and, got me back on the horse. And I just said, Donovan, that was so cool of you as a teammate and as a leader to come right back to me. And immediately in the huddle, your character was, bro, I'm coming right back to you. We're gonna lift you back up. It was really cool. So I'm a product of those people that I got to play with. Ty Detmer was my first quarterback. When I went to the Rams, it was Kurt Warner. And then when I came back to the Eagles, it was Donovan McNabb. Those are just my quarterbacks. And then Jeff Thomason and so many other teammates, the famous ones, Brian Dawkins and others. Those guys were warriors, but they were great teammates, great guys, where, they inspired me to do my best and try my hardest and give it all I had. Even if my talent level was like that compared to them, that meant a lot to me and to them. And it was appreciated. That was cool.
Way cool. And lifted you, right?
Yeah,
lifted you
time.
During crucial moments in battle, probably on and off the field, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so let's go to the 2004 NFC Championship game. You catch a huge touchdown pass and come down wrong on your foot. Liz Frank injury. Seemed like the highest of highs, lowest of lows.
Yeah.
How did you handle that situation?
That was fortunate because just before the game, my dad gave me a blessing because I had an injured tricep. I wasn't sure how I'd do in the game. I ended up having a really nice game, and then at the end, with 3 minutes left, we're gonna win and go to the Super Bowl. I catch a touchdown, I tear my Liz Frank, and I promise you that as I'm falling to the ground, time stood still. And I had a divine moment, a moment where I felt the exact same feeling I felt when my dad gave me a blessing before the game. I knew we were going to the Super Bowl, and I knew I was not going to be able to play in it. And God blessed me with comfort and peace that, to me, is surpassed all understanding. From that moment until right now, I've never had any regrets about getting hurt at such a critical moment in my career. Without that, it would have been devastating. I'd still be in counseling. But I was able to go to this Super Bowl. We went to Jacksonville, had surgery 2 days later. We flew to Jacksonville, went through the week of practice, and I'm just on the sideline. We go to the game. My teammates run out the tunnel. Brian Dawkins is the last one. He's going crazy. And then I come out on an old man jazzy scooter, and I wheel across the grass in Jacksonville. And it was on the sideline where I realized that the 18 members of my family who were at the game, they were my Super Bowl. My family is my Super Bowl. And it was poignant because here I was, I couldn't play. It was a moment I'll never forget. I would have loved to play in the game. I thought I was going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl and drive away with the truck. It was not to be. But the divine gift that I was given is what has helped me all the way until today to realize that it's okay. Everything was the way it was supposed to be for some reason. I can't wait to get to heaven and say, what's up?
It's great.
Like I couldn't play in the Super Bowl, but I'm grateful for the whole thing, like profoundly grateful for all the experiences. We got in the locker room after the game, and Andy Reid came up to me after hearing the diagnosis that I tore my Liz Frank, and he's like, man, well, you went out with a bang. He's just such a great coach. I love him.
So, I mean, to me, the word that comes to mind is trust. You trusted Heavenly Father and the plan that happened.
Yeah, big time.
And you had the right people around you to help you.
I acknowledge that I was there because of his grace and kindness and blessings. I was given blessings all through my career. Before seasons, during seasons, injuries, anxieties. And it would have been unfair for me at that point to curse God and say, why did you let this happen? When he let everything else happen. And I don't know the economy of heaven. I don't know how everything works. All I know is I was blessed with one of the coolest gifts of my life right there. A divine gift of peace that I can't describe in any other way. It was sweet.
So awesome. Chad, do you have any advice for people who are struggling with mental health or going through a tough moment on their journey?
Yeah, I do. I just think one of the most important things for us is to say our prayers and to read the scriptures every day. When you read the scriptures every day, it's like Christ or Heavenly Father is walking right by you. You can feel it. You feel close. When you go for a long period of time without reading the scriptures, there's a distance you feel. It's hard to describe, but you feel it. And so people that are going through challenges, don't push away your greatest gift, your greatest love, your greatest support. And I would say as an athlete or as a person, those two things every day, say your prayers. And don't say prayers that you've said 1 billion times. Say real prayers. Communicate with God. And then number 2, read the scriptures. For me, it's the Book of Mormon every day. And I trust that that is the Word of God. I also testify the feeling I feel when I read every day gives me power. Not power to beat other people up. Power that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's confidence. And then when challenges do come, because they will, I feel there's a strength and a resilience to me that I can power through those challenges in the right way. Look, I can't describe it other than that. It's kind of feeble of me, but that's how I feel. And I feel it deep right there.
It's awesome. Power to overcome anything that's thrown your way.
And guess what? It's coming to all of us.
It's coming, yeah, it's inevitable.
It's going to be an injury. It's going to be a coach. It's going to be a teammate. It's going to be a challenge that sometimes you can't see coming. And all of a sudden, boom, there it is. And it's in those moments and in those times, we need that help. We need that power. We need that strength.
Well, Chad, thank you so much. You're a person I'd run through a brick wall for, and appreciate all you do for BYU and all the good you do in the world, man.
Thanks. Let's keep going. We're just getting started.
Just getting started.
You can watch this episode of The Mental Game on the BYU Sports Nation YouTube channel. And you can download and subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you find podcasts or listen to all episodes on the BYU Radio app. Behind the Mic is a production of BYU Radio.